Cordobes boots, this time in an engineer. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dale of Dale's Leatherworks, doing what I love, reviewing boots, talking about them, getting them on camera, and wherever you are on this non-rotating flat earth, I hope you're feeling very unburdened by what has been. In today's video, I'm very excited because I'm going to be talking about these new engineer boots that I just got from my friends at Cordobes Boots down in Mexico. They have an outstanding operation, and I want to mention that this is my second pair of Cordobes because this is the first pair that I got. Absolutely love these things, getting lots of good wear on them. Not patinating up as much as I'd like because I have a rather large rotation, and now with the stitch down patina Thunderdome being in full swing, half of my boot rotation is now completely eaten up by my iron boots in Grigio shell cordovan. Alright, so on their website you can choose, you have all kinds of customization options. So their engineer boots are going to be the classic design with a 10-inch tall shaft, a lined vamp, an unlined shaft, veg tan midsole, and a steel shank. You can get it on their C100 or their D25 last. I opted for their C100 as it is a bit rounder out in the toe, and I need a little bit more volume up there. I went true to size in a size 9. I don't advise sizing down in this brand. Both my builds are in a size 9 and it's a perfect fit. I went with a standard D width, and for the sole, I always opt for leather when I have a chance. I know most guys prefer rubber, but I've talked ad nauseum on my channel about leather soles, and I just love them. They're my favorite. They don't wear down like everybody thinks. And then you could also customize your leather color. You could do natural, black, brown, or chocolate. So I went with the brown oil tan. I went for double row stitch down construction. You could also do Blake rapid stitch or hand welt for an upcharge. I opted for brass hardware on mine. I opted for plain toe, a natural edge finish, but you could do brown and you could do black, and you could also have celastic or leather to the toe structure, but I went unstructured. Yeah, yesterday I went hiking in these. It was a lot of fun. The one downside, I will admit, I will concede that yes, is a leather sole ideal for hiking? No. These absolutely did not grip the ground. The ground was dry, and the dry leaves, and there were roots, and I was just slipping everywhere in these. So, but I looked damn cool doing it. I felt cool. It was this really cool lake nearby where I live that I did not know even existed, but it was a really good hike. And I actually had my stepson, he modeled my Unmarked brand boots that I kind of knocked out 2 birds with 1 stone with yesterday's hike. Families that make boot videos together stay together, dang it. One thing I'll say about the character of this leather is it is just gnarly. It looks like a kudu. It's got scratches on it. It's got little dots throughout, scrapes and scratches. There's a lot of really cool grain in this leather as well. The workmanship and the construction is very good. I see some areas, some flawed areas, but you know, for this price point being $430, you're getting what you pay for, absolutely. The one thing that I will say that probably some people might call me out for not acknowledging is the stacking of the veg tan in the soles. In the heel stack, what it looks like is almost like in woodworking you have what's called shims. So in woodworking, a shim is a wedge-shaped piece of wood used to adjust, prop, or hold an object in place. They're often used in construction and carpentry and DIY projects. Now, what it appears to me to be going on here is it looks like they use different thicknesses of veg tan and they sort of sand those in such a way as to make them come together to form the heel. So it's not completely uniform is what I'm getting at. So if you're a super duper control freak, something like that might bother you. I actually like to see this because it shows the hand work involved, and when I start making my own boots, which yes, I do plan to start that here soon, thanks to my buddy David at Old Speed MFG Bootmakers. He kind of gave me the confidence to give it a go my first time around, because my big thing for making a boot is, can I do this with caveman tools? That's my question, and that's what I want to try to do. I'm not trying to get like super industrialized in my basement or anything. I want to know if I could do something like this, like literally take the veg tan that I have that I use to make insoles, and I want to know that if I could combine that to create a heel stack and do a heel lift on it and to make an outsole out of. And this looks very much like primarily hand-driven work, and I love to see it. I just think it's cool. I love, from an anthropological perspective, I like to look at boots almost as relics and examine how the craftsman or the artisan put it together. This leather for the upper is just gorgeous. I believe it's a Lafarque oil tan, and they just call it brown. I mentioned the character on it. The character is just awesome. Very much like a kudu with all the cuts and scrapes and dark marks all throughout. It has insane pull-up. It's got really good character on this outer shaft here. Really good warping taking place already. The back heel stay has a pull tab, and that definitely helped me get in for the first pass-through, which my buddy Mike Smith says is the most difficult on an engineer. Is if it's sized just right, he said that the pass-through should be difficult, the initial pass-through. If it's too small, you won't even get through the pass-through process. If they're too large, then the pass-through is going to be easy and they're going to be floppy. But I was reassured when I threw these on, and I'm like kind of struggling to get this thing on. But then your foot goes it just snaps in place, and that's a successful pass-through, I'll call it that. In the cowboy boot world as well, that's what they advise their customers, if you have a good solid pass-through, and that at the end when your foot just slides into place, that's the indication of a good fit, I guess. And then really cool character on this particular shaft here, really cool wrinkling and collapsing happening. And this is just one wear. I put 20,000 steps on these yesterday, and that was the first wear, and I'm just so impressed by the patina already. If you wanted to place in the patina Thunderdome, this is definitely the boot I would advise you get. Like, you start out with such a blank slate, and over time it's gonna just warp just like wood does, because this is with the leather sole on the outside and then the oil tan. The oil tan scratches really easily, so it's gonna get a lot of really good wear over time. The oil tan just shows its scars and its battle scars so effortlessly. You know, I was walking through leaves, I kind of scuffed my boot on some logs here and there, and as you can see, we have like this black, I don't even know what this is, maybe dirt or something, this black mark across there. It's on the inner side of both boots that happened. I don't know how that formed, but it just did. I've never had an engineer with a toe track before, and they put a toe track in here, which is this line that extends from the toe up the shaft, sometimes all the way to the top, but not always. And the reason why you see some engineer boots with a toe track is because the vamp went through a crimping process, essentially. It is used to get all the stretch out of the vamp, because when a bootmaker needs to turn something that's two-dimensional into a three-dimensional, it is more work if the vamp is not crimped. And yeah, I'm just looking at the patterning here. The instep strap is cool because it's cut with a curvature on one side and then it's a 90-degree angle on the other side. That's very stylistic. I've never seen a maker do that before. The hardware is nice, and I'm not going to say it's as high of grade as like you'd see from a Japanese maker or something like that, but it is still very robust hardware. And then one of my favorite pieces is on this inside flap at the enclosure at the collar here. They brand it Cordobes. They emboss a little Cordobes logo in there, which is really cool. Reminds you who made them. On the collar, we've got a roll top. It's a separate piece of what looks like a brown finished leather. Yeah, the stitch patterning is just so cool. We've got a triangular stitch pattern at the top enclosure for the strap. We've got a triangle on the back of the back heel stay, triangular stitch. The back heel stay on the right boot is super cool. It's got amazing character. One thing I will mention, because I get in trouble if I don't point out flaws all the time. Huge caveat, this is not something that I care about, but there is sort of a line that runs the perimeter of the boot, because this leather is very prone to getting marks on it. Again, once you take a few steps in these outside in the woods, you're gonna see all kinds of crazy scratching and patina happening. Yeah, I do see like one line, and it was probably formed by a machine during the welting process. That's just my guess. I could see a lot of guys getting their panties in a wad over it, but I do not care. I think that's fine. These are handmade, and I expect to see indications of that. In fact, I like to see indications of that. But yeah, I see it on both boots. It just runs the entire perimeter. Again, not a big deal to me. A lot of the reason why you're going to see things like this is because every maker has a different setup for how they do things. They have a different process by which they create the different components. It's obviously at Cordobes, they're actually stacking these layers of veg tan themselves. They don't have a sole that's just ready to glue on or something like that, or to stitch on. Like Thursday boots, for example, they're highly industrialized, right? When they make their captain boot in brown, it's going to look identical to the next captain boot in brown. Why? Because they're so industrialized. They have all their steps lined up already. Cordobes does not. They're made to order. They're a small operation, so there will be inconsistencies from pair to pair, especially if they're using leathers from Lafarque and they're using most of the hide, which is usable. Then you're just going to see some minor inconsistencies from part to part. Every component of this, they're probably using hand tools to cut. I would not be surprised. Yeah, for that reason, same thing with my bags. When I make a bag, I could try to recreate past work, but it's never going to be identical. You know, it depends on the leather, it depends on how I choose to do things that day. All of these things could have an effect on the way the final product ends up. You know, I might choose one strap cutter instead of a different one, and so the strap just looks a little different. I might choose to go for really heavy rivet or a lighter rivet. I might choose, you know, this crazy yarn wax thread, or I might choose my Ritza tiger thread, which is normally what I do choose. You get the point. When it's a small operation, you have many options throughout every step of the production process. That's part of the beauty of a small operation. There's a nice leather veg tan insole in there and a heel seat. Very nicely done. I had a good time wearing these yesterday, taking these on a hike. They look really cool. It really is a beautiful engineer pattern, and I really like that you're able to customize it. I'm definitely going to be wearing these a lot more in the coming days and weeks, especially because, like I said yesterday, I walked close to 8 miles. My feet were not tired by the end of the day. These are extremely comfortable boots. Why? Because a leather sole offers way more comfort and firmness and support than a rubber sole could ever hope to. Is it as durable? No. Is it as slip resistant? Absolutely not. But is it more ergonomic to your walking and your posture? Absolutely it is. And it's more grounding. So that is why I always prefer the leather sole over a rubber sole. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. I will leave links to Cordobes in the description below, so go check them out if you're so interested. Give them a follow on Instagram. They're really good people. I'm Dale of Dale's Leatherworks. End of transmission.